What's going on? Welcome to the Upside Down Life. It's your first time coming back for more. Really hope that the videos are a blessing to you in your walk with the Lord. So in today's video, I want to kind of elaborate on the video from earlier this week about the best advice I ever received. I kind of want to give some scriptural backing and kind of the fun way the Lord has shown me all this. The best advice I ever received. Part 2. Alright, so talking about calling out to the Lord and crying out to the Lord, when I was in Dallas last year, the guy I was staying with, he shared this verse with me out of Job. Let me just read it to you. So it's the last verse of Job 38, and it says, "Who provideth for the raven his food? When his young ones cry unto God, they wander for lack of meat." And to me, what that's saying is who gives this parent the bread for its young? And the verses before that talk about lions in a very similar fashion, but we're going to talk about birds, and we're going to talk about Elijah. We're going to bring it all together. So, and this is saying that the parents, or the bird parents get, wow, they get the food because the young ones are crying out to the Father. And that's really what I was talking about the other day, is just crying out to the Father. So let's talk about Elijah for a second. When Elijah comes into this narrative of the Bible, he's been praying, and he goes and tells the king that until he prays again, there's going to be no rain. And he goes and he lives by this brook. And as he lives by this brook, it is ravens that bring him food. And it's interesting because in James in the New Testament, what we find out about Elijah is that, well, let's just read it. James 5 verse 16, starting halfway through, it says, "The effectual fervent prayer of a righteous man availeth much." It says Elias, this is King James, talking about Elijah, was a man subject to like passions as we are, and he prayed earnestly that it might not rain, and it didn't rain for 3 years and 6 months. He prayed again, and rain fell. That's not a direct quote at the end. And what it's saying, this is what it's saying to me, is that Elijah is just like you as a human being. He just prayed a lot more. And that's where, the raven bringing Elijah food, it's the same thing as the verse we read in Job, who gives the raven meat for the young when they cry out? Elijah being the young. Not saying he's the child of a raven or anything like that, but the Lord is taking all this and kind of melting it together, and then Christ really brings it all together. And there's a verse, and it says that the birds don't sow or reap, but God takes care of them, so how much more will he take care of you? And the thing that's really been on my heart about that is that what if you knew that he was going to provide? Not worried about the who, what, where, when, why, or how. You just knew that he was going to provide for you. How beautiful would your song be? Even when you don't have it, you'll still make that song, right? Like birds, they know that at the perfect timing, the Lord is going to provide for them what they need. And so they can sing and do all the fun things we see birds do. So this is a super roundabout way of saying the Bible supports us crying out to the Lord. Yeah, that's it. This is the third time for this video. I feel like the wind's picking up again, so I'm going to wrap this up. Call on the Lord. That's it. Just call on him. Good, bad, indifferent, whatever, just call on the Lord. If nothing else, just tell him hi and that you're thankful that his son died for you. It doesn't always have to be needs, it can be being thankful. Should be being thankful, right? So, yeah, I love you guys. I'll see you next time. Peace.